What's going on? Well, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the remote front office. Today we are going to be talking about Game 2 of the NBA Finals. Before we get into that, if you guys are new to the channel, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. We've got the NBA Finals reactions, we'll have off-season content. We will be watching the draft live, hopefully, this year. We'll have some free agency news once that happens. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. So, Game 2 was yesterday. Boston ended up winning 105-98. Dallas is yet again held under 100 points for the second time in this finals. And also, just as of right now, let's go ahead and get into this part. As of right now, I think Jrue Holiday is my pick for Finals MVP. Um, the just all around stat line, right? He's guarding Luka. He's guarding Kyrie. He's scoring. He's getting key steals. If you guys saw it at one point, there was so Jrue and Derek White might be the best defensive backcourt I've ever seen. I'll be honest. So Jrue is picking up Luka at like three-quarter court, right? Luka goes to throw the get-ahead pass. It gets tipped. It goes back to him. He tries to throw it again, and then out of nowhere, here comes Derek White, grabs it before it goes out of bounds, throws it to Jrue. This whole series, I don't get me wrong. Okay, so I figured with how Boston typically plays, right? I figured they would split in Boston because I figured Boston would have a bad shooting night. That was tonight, right? Boston started out like 3 of 17 or something stupid from 3, right? And Boston was still leading at the half. I was like, okay, that's weird. Luka had a really good first quarter. Boston shot really bad, but Boston's still ahead. And then I kind of looked at it from the Dallas side. And I was like, okay, well, Kyrie's not really going. You don't really have a secondary scorer that's necessarily going as of right now. So I guess it kind of makes sense. They'll pick it up maybe in the third quarter. Boston will have a bad shooting night. Dallas will win the game, right? So we get to that point. Kyrie still is not shooting great. He had a couple of drives that looked okay, but he had one on Derek White where normally you would expect Kyrie to have one extra move in him under the basket, and normally it goes up and in, or it's a foul or something. And Derek White stayed with him the whole time, stayed with him the whole way down, and ended up blocking the shot. Um, and that just kind of spelled the night for Kyrie, right? It felt like no matter what he tried, he still got decent looks from as far as threes and mid ranges, but for this series, it feels like he's too focused on the crowd, right? He made a couple of remarks at the crowd in this game, made a couple of remarks at the crowd in game one, and I just feel like he's a little too focused on the crowd when he plays Boston. However, Luka's got to get some help, right? PJ Washington, again, pretty bad night shooting. Derek Jones Jr., bad night shooting. Gafford had a stretch in the third quarter that looked okay, but again, you're not really overly concerned about Daniel Gafford because Daniel Gafford relies heavily on one of the guards to get him going. Derek Lively has still looked a little afraid of the moment. I understand it's his first finals. He's like 20 years old. But he just has not been the Derek Lively we saw last series, mainly, is my big concern. Luka did get doubled pretty frequently today, just because of how he played in the first quarter. The first quarter, he was amazing. He was doing the Luka threes on the step back of what would be minimal space for most guys. Ended up hit the shot, and he even hit one on the far side in the corner where he kind of left his leg up for a little bit as it went in. That's kind of how you get a good feeling. He's feeling it. He's talking trash to the crowd, getting into it. But he had some pretty bad turnovers, right? He had a couple of, so he had one pass where he wrapped it around Porzingis with Jrue Holiday trailing and threw it right to Dante Exum. Dante Exum caught it on the bounce, shot it, right? But then he had another one where he was on like the right wing and went to go around on the screen, and Tatum was trailing this time, and he threw it behind his back, and Tatum just had his arm out and tipped it and took it the other way, right? So that is a little concerning for me. You've yet again had two, I don't know if I'd call them bad Tatum games, right? I would call them underwhelming points wise, right? I feel like Tatum's done other things for this team as far as the assists, the rebounds, the defensive possessions, that sort of stuff. But this isn't normally Tatum, right? You normally get 20 to 25 points from Tatum. I haven't really gotten that. So to get those sort of nights and a night where Boston doesn't shoot well, and you still lose, and you still don't get over 100 points either, it's pretty concerning, right? I thought that Dallas, towards the second half of the year, had done better with their pacing, but I feel like we're kind of reverting back to old Dallas, where Luka has to bring the ball up and takes his time, and with that, you're going to have a chance for Jaylen Brown or Jrue Holiday or Tatum or whoever's guarding him, right, to really pick him up three-quarter court, really get into his face, make him take a couple extra dribbles, make that shot clock wind down a little bit. I feel like they need to play with a little more emphasis. Just bring the ball up, start pushing the tempo, right? Throw those get-ahead passes they've been throwing all throughout the Western Conference playoffs to get to this point. If you're Boston, though, I feel like you feel really good about this. Obviously, I would not expect them to come off the gas for Game 3. I don't know if they have another bad shooting night like that again. At least not back-to-back nights. Typically, I feel like it's once every 3 games or so. So I would not expect Boston to have another bad shooting night, at least not as bad as they had last night. The one key thing for Boston that I'm a little nervous about is Porzingis. About midway through the fourth quarter, he came down a little weird on his leg that had kept him out for about a month. And he kind of was gimping around. It wasn't full speed. It was one of those Kyrie layups that he ended up getting because instead of being able to kind of meet Kyrie where he was, Kyrie got a little extra push ahead dribble and made the layup, and Porzingis didn't even jump. He just let him have it. So that was a little concerning. Al Horford did come in. I feel like Al Horford's done pretty well in the series. He was initially my biggest concern about getting switched on to Luka, but I feel like they've done fairly okay. But if you're Boston, I almost wonder. Obviously, I'm assuming Porzingis is still coming off the bench for Game 3. At least in the post-game press conferences, it seemed like he was okay. But I would start to get a little bit concerned with his health status. And if it is a close game, do you have to play him upwards of 25, 30 minutes, right? Can you keep him around 20 minutes a game? That is my biggest concern for them. But as of right now, I don't think Dallas gets swept. I would like to make sure that that's not a narrative that's out there. I feel like Dallas gets at least one game, if not 2, right? I still feel like we're looking at Boston in 6. I don't think that obviously Dallas is going to go down without swinging. I would like to see maybe just full offensive lineups. If Maxi Kleber can go back to being able to shoot, seems like he's got a little bit of a hitch right now, coming back off that shoulder injury. If he can shoot, I feel like maybe they'll have a little bit more of a chance. You play a little less Lively, a little less Gafford, and you go more with like an offensive 5-out strategy and just try and see if you can get over 100 points against the Celtics team. I understand they're locked in, but they're going to have lapses. They're going to make mistakes. The turnovers are still going to happen, and you just have to capitalize on it, right? But Game 3 is Wednesday, so I may end up doing an after game. If it's a close game, if it's a blowout, we'll stick with the regular Friday schedule. But if you guys have any reactions to Game 2, as well as predictions for Game 3, make sure to leave them down in the comment section. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.